I'm Chief Andrew Smith from the Green Bay Police Department. I'm here today to talk about an arrest that we made in conjunction with a shooting incident that occurred just behind me on May 31st during an incident that was happening at the gas station behind me. We have arrested 27-year-old Leo M. Austin for first-degree reckless endangering of safety. Mr. Austin was the individual we believe that pulled out the firearm and shot several rounds during a riot situation that occurred behind me. Recall that on May 31st there was a protest, and that protest resulted from the Green Bay Police Department a total of 6 adults being arrested for various charges and a total of 4 juveniles being arrested for various charges. This particular day started off, if you remember May 31st of last summer, this day started off as a peaceful protest, a First Amendment protected, something that we hold sacred in this country. And we as a police department were helping to facilitate that protest. But as the protest came down the street here with individuals in cars and hundreds of people walking, a large number of individuals that were in that protest decided to loot the gas station you see behind me. We'll be posting video footage of that looting on the back of our Facebook page, so you'll be able to see exactly what occurred in here. But this entire incident, this unlawful assembly, was about up to several hundred individuals. And after that looting occurred and we cleared the people out of that building, individuals began throwing rocks at us. They didn't follow our dispersal orders, and it was an unlawful assembly. Later, that group dispersed and went around the different parts of the city engaging in criminal behavior, including burglary of a local business down here where they smashed open the rear window with a rock, including breaking of windows at businesses downtown on Washington Street, including arson where they lit fires in garages and shoved flaming objects out on the roadway, disorderly conduct, intimidating individuals that were trying to get by. So the message is clear. If you do commit an act of criminal nature during one of these protests, you will be prosecuted. You will be held accountable for the things that you do. These 6 men that have been arrested, 6 adults have been arrested, all have charges referred to the district attorney's office. In addition to the Green Bay Police Department charges, the Sheriff's Department has also filed charges on several individuals for damage to their squad cars. You recall that during part of this riotous situation, individuals smashed some windows on some police cars and some police canine cars just around the corner from here. We have individuals that have been identified and charges have been referred on those individuals by the Sheriff's Department. I want to give a quick shout out to our detectives, because the night of this incident, all these things were occurring and we weren't able to make the kind of arrests that we wanted to, but our detectives were relentless in following up. I want to give a special recognition to Detective Jenna Luberta, who worked tirelessly on this case throughout the summer and was able to identify these individuals, working with our crime analysts, working with our crime analysis unit, working with our community policing officers who helped identify people, and finally working with our violent crime task force that's out there every night working to identify the individuals that are shooting guns in our community, which is a huge concern for us. So the message is clear. Peaceful protests are always welcome. First Amendment rights will always be protected. The police department will always help facilitate lawful protests, regardless of what the topic is. But if those protests devolve into criminal behavior, then we have to take action, and people involved in that criminal behavior will be held accountable for the things that they do. Any questions on any of that? I have Detective Detective Captain Ben Allen here, who can answer any specific questions about that, but any other questions about the incident that occurred here on the 31st of May?
I have a statement.
A statement or question, ma'am? Okay, why don't you hold off on your statement? When I'm done, then you can give your statement, okay? Anybody from the media have any questions that they want to ask?
So, Leo Austin, where was he taken into custody?
He was taken into custody in Green Bay by our Violent Crime Task Force. We were able to utilize video footage from that night to identify a vehicle that he was in. We were able to ascertain that he was the driver of the vehicle that night, and subsequent to the investigation, we were able to take him into custody just the other day here in Green Bay as a resident of Green Bay.
Okay, so he's arrested.
Correct.
Does he have a prior record prior to this?
I don't have details on his prior arrest history.
So he makes one of the 10, right? So it's 10 total, or is it 11?
Correct. 10 plus him. So there's a total of 11. Correct.
11, okay.
Let me rephrase that. 6 adults, 4 juveniles, 10 total. That includes him.
Okay.
Yeah. The juveniles, obviously, we don't release information on them, but many of the juveniles were seen breaking into the store behind me. In this particular case, we are still looking for individuals that engage in criminal activity that night. This case is still open, and we're asking anybody to take a look at our Facebook page, take a look at the video that we're posting there, and if you can identify any of those other individuals inside of this store looting, vandalizing, we are interested in finding out their identification, because we will seek prosecution on any of those individuals.
Is he expected in court today?
I don't know what his court date is. All right. Hey, thanks very much for being here. You know, I mean, again, it's a First Amendment protected event. We want to do whatever we can to help facilitate people's First Amendment rights to peacefully protest, regardless of what that is. But when it turns into a criminal situation where people are lighting fires, vandalizing police cars, throwing rocks and bricks at our police officers, throwing signs at our officers, breaking into businesses, smashing windows, obviously we take action and people will be held accountable. Thanks.
Something from the captain?
I have a question. Do you have any indication how many of those people were part of the protest and how many broke off or showed up after the protest? Because the protest has been dispersing and it ended here prior to that.
Right. I was with the protest the entire time. I was with the hundreds of individuals. I was following the protest in a vehicle. I was standing right there just after this incident occurred. What my understanding has happened is the individuals that were in the protest came down the street, and a large number of them broke into the gas station here and began looting, vandalizing, and whatnot. As the officers cleared them, the people that were involved in the protest, I would say, by my estimation, most of them that were arrested, most of them that were here, were part of the protest earlier. I did see people coming in later and arriving later, but the majority of the people that I was dealing with were people that were part of the protest earlier. Some of them I recognize by face and know by name.
And I assume that this protest was what prompted the emergency curfew ratified by the city council?
Our prior protests had been peaceful and there were no issues with that. But I think this was one of the factors that the city council considered when they enacted the curfew, was the behavior of the crowd that was here that night. We certainly can't have criminal behavior like this with the fires being set, vandalism, burglaries, things of that nature. We can't have incidents like that occurring in the city, and I think that was a part of the equation that led the city council to enact that curfew.
Okay, so the curfew was to prevent any more protests during that week?
Yeah, I believe that was one of the, not to prevent protests. Nobody's against protests. Let me be quite clear. We're against criminal behavior, and it was to prevent further criminal behavior from occurring.
Okay, because my understanding is the only arrests made under the curfew were from people attempting to protest.
Well, people that were arrested for curfew were arrested for violating curfew, right?
Well, that is what they were actually arrested for.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. Have a great day.